So I'm definitely celebrating the return of Bangalore weather. For 2 weeks we have not seen any sun.
Mm-hmm.
It's been windy as hell, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been reaching to my office like wet 1 out of every 2 days. Are you enjoying this return of Bangalore weather?
Yeah, but I work from home, so I get midday naps out of it.
I do kind of miss the sun though.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Maybe-
though we didn't get much of it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but still, that lazy thing is still there, no? Like, I wake up, I go to office, and it's so cold out there. I just don't feel like working or doing anything because I just want to snuggle inside a blanket.
I know, right? Yeah. Do miss the sun.
I do.
Mm.
Maybe it'll come back, and I'll go back to the other side. Cool. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Version Control. I'm Sarthak. I'm a software engineer. I've been in this industry for a while, and with me is.
I'm Soumya. I'm a software engineer too. I mostly work on cloud networking.
Alright. Yeah, so introductions aside, even though how robotic they may seem, we have to do it. Today's episode is gonna be a bit different,
Mm-hmm.
and I've already given you a heads up, but there has been a lot of conversations around some news in the Indian IT industry.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of them actually, and I thought it makes sense for us to take a break from our technical topics
I see
and
where
talk
you're going
about them.
with this.
Yeah. So, what I primarily wanted to talk about was the two rules that made waves in media recently, and get some opinions out of it. What do you think of the situation?
Mhm.
How did the social media react? So, just for context, the first rule that came out was of a reservation quota by the Karnataka government, which wanted some percentage of quota for each level of job, including engineering in private industries, to go to people born in Karnataka. And this was a separate conversation to be had about what they considered a local Kannadiga
Mm-hmm.
or a local person. That is
Mm.
something we'll go into in depth.
Mm.
And the second one is something that came days after it, is them mandating a 14 hours work week for
Yeah.
engineering jobs. So, shall we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. I definitely knew where this conversation was going as soon as you said it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah, so let's start with the first one. Let's start breaking that one down.
Yeah.
So the first one is basically, I don't remember the exact percentages right now, but is basically reserving some jobs
Hmm.
of each level of quota, including up till the management level, for local born people,
Hmm.
and not even
Was
local
it
born.
was it local born or was it domicile?
It's domiciled, and yeah,
yeah.
we'll go into the criteria. They
Yeah.
have published a criteria which is a problem on its own.
Yeah.
But let's talk about first the very fact itself of trying to reserve some part in private firms
Mm-hmm.
for some particular class of people.
Hmm.
What is your opinion of that?
Okay, so I think as a community, as a state, I get the proposal, right? They're trying to look out for their people and they're ensuring that they get jobs. But I don't think that's the right way to inculcate talent or bring diversity.
Mhm.
I think reserving a quota at each level of job as you go up the corporate ladder. I think over time, we are a tech industry, right? We need innovation. I think that kind of prohibits if you don't bring
Mhm.
diversity in. So that's my opinion of it. Talent is not limited to a
Mhm.
community of people. What about you?
I actually feel like this trend of state governments acting like country governments
Mm-hmm.
has to stop in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you use a term also which I think is coming because they have fired the first arrow, and it's like
Yeah.
their people.
Yeah.
I don't see any difference between someone who has migrated to Karnataka
Hmm.
and someone who's been living in Karnataka, right?
Oh, I
we're a
agree
country.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're one country.
Hmm.
States come second,
Yeah.
and they're not something which equates to your nationality. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Open borders between states is the reason why we come together as a country and why we have such a growing economy.
Yeah.
Right? If you go down this path,
Hmm.
and the reason people are going down this path is different,
Yeah.
but going down this path is nothing but going backwards,
Yeah.
because you're just creating unnecessary divide.
Yeah.
And you don't understand how the world is working or how
Yeah.
Indian economy is working,
Hmm.
and then you come and try to play God in it just for your personal
Yeah.
favors.
And I do agree with that point, and I think the image that got painted on, especially internet, with
Mhm.
these kind of rules coming in, is that people who immigrate to Karnataka and people who are locally born in Karnataka or have lived in Karnataka for a very long time are not in harmony. That there's a lot of conflict. But that has not been my experience. I think people are pretty happy with each other. They don't see
Yeah, I think
differences.
majority of the
Yeah.
people out there
Yeah.
are living in harmony. Like,
Yeah.
there are bad apples on both sides,
Yeah.
and I feel like on places such as internet forums,
Mm-hmm.
those bad apples are the
Loudest
loudest,
voice. Yeah.
and like others are just observers, and that's why it feels like it is misbalanced. But if you come and see it in your daily life also, you don't really see that conflict at a high scale, right?
Exactly.
So-
Yeah. So the other discussion that also propels this, right? I think right now the proposal was turned down, but
Mhm.
the other question, at least I wanted to ask you, was like, if in case a rule like this does get passed, right?
Mhm.
What do you think are gonna be the long-term implications of it on a tech industry?
I think even if a rule like this gets passed, I don't think it's going to survive for long because we have a judicial system who's
Hmm.
going to review this. So
Yeah.
just because in a democratic government or in an elected government, what the current government does not automatically become law.
Yeah.
It is applied on the constitution,
Mm-hmm.
and they cannot go against the old constitution, right?
Hmm.
What is already written,
Hmm.
and this easily goes against the like one of the primary fundamentals of our constitution,
Hmm.
which is that across India you have the same rights,
Yeah.
and this has already been proven.
Yeah.
I think Haryana already tried this,
Hmm.
got shot down by
Hmm.
Supreme Court. So this is, I think, the long term implication is this only.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it fuels divide, and I
it
think
does. Yeah.
you can say that people who did it got what they wanted,
Yeah.
and they wanted just to divert attention away from other things.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is the long term implication. But if it does come to pass, I think I'm not really sure how things will happen. I'm pretty much sure IT will get drained out
Yeah.
of Karnataka, at least if it
Hmm.
passes here. There is no way a company will compromise on its current base.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the future for sure, but this is
Yeah.
what I think
Yeah.
will be the case.
Yeah. I mean, I also think of it from this perspective, right? Like, as a MNC owned by some other country, and if I have a office in, say, Bangalore, will I, as a CEO, really care, right?
Mhm.
That I have to meet this reservation to be in this particular city. All I care about is hiring the best talent out of India,
Mhm.
right? So I do see the point that, maybe it might just be a downfall, right? If you create reservations like that.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what it comes down to is ease of doing business, right? So you want as a state to make sure that ease of doing business in your state is easier. So that more companies can come in, set up shop, create
Yeah.
jobs, educate the people, and bring the social strata up.
Yeah.
And these these are the exact kind of laws which go against ease of doing
Ease
business.
of doing business.
Because this is unnecessary compliance
Yeah.
that then company have to fill in. They have to spend money on audits
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it overall inculcates, like people looking for other options.
Exactly.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's. Do you have anything else to add on the first one?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about the second part of it, which is what they consider.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel that this law is very short-sighted. Even if if you evaluate the law not on its correctness but just
Yeah.
the law itself, it is very short-sighted.
Hmm.
It kind of assumes that the major migration to Bangalore or Karnataka has happened only due to IT, which is so not true.
Which is so not
Right.
true. Yeah.
I think if you live in parts of Bangalore, like North Bangalore or
Mm.
South Bangalore, you know the amount of Keralite community, Malayalis that have been living here. You know the amount of Telugu community that is living here.
Mm.
They did not come for IT industry.
Yeah.
They do come in IT also,
Yeah.
but they came for like manufacturing. They came
Yeah.
for just trade.
Yeah.
So many things, and so many of them have generations here.
Yeah.
But they still are at heart Malayalis. They
Yeah.
I know a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
So just
and I think and this is like just to call it out, right?
Mm.
When you say in your heart Malayalis, it's not really a division thing. It's more of a cultural thing, right? You will
Yeah.
also you will always carry that culture of where you come from in your heart.
Yeah. Right. And
Yeah.
I think it just boils down to the kind of food you've been eating growing up. It's just
Yeah.
small things,
It's
right?
just
The
the
kind
small
of
things,
behavior that you
Yeah.
see in where you've grown
Yeah.
up and stuff like that. So yeah, very short-sighted decision from that point of view. It's just, I think people kind of are like, people in the support of this law
Hmm.
are praising it as some great law to lift
Yeah.
Karnataka's history. but it just pains me to see how much it is actually neglecting history of Karnataka. It's
Yeah.
just a short-sighted decision.
Yeah, and Karnataka, I think, in all of India, has offered like one of the best educations as well, right?
Yeah.
So many people have just come here and settled in place just for the sake of like, providing their kids with the best education. And all that seems just so short-sighted right now
Yeah.
with this law.
So true. And given all these points, I
Mm.
also feel that kind of brings the motivation of the ruling party
Mm.
to kind of bring this law in the first place. One argument that it's always an easy tactic to increase talk about something,
Yeah.
to not let people talk about something else. Let that be drowned, right? And I think infra in Bangalore right now is one topic that, and infra and the new schemes that they have introduced is one topic they definitely want attention away from. And I feel this was a perfect bomb that they could bring. It hit a lot of people very fast. It created a lot of chaos, and nobody is talking about the actual problems of Bangalore.
Problems that need to be solved.
Yeah. On that point, Vese, I think like currently Bangalore can do a lot better in infra, and I hope people actually start focusing on
real problems,
actual issues. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else to add here?
No, I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay, so now the second one, which is the 14 hours work week. Yeah. Let me clarify one thing.
Yeah.
It is not actually clear who introduced that law, or at least proposed it, because people are. It initially came from the Karnataka government, but then there were mixed reports that Karnataka government was told to do this by some private firms. But then you had other unions like NASSCOM, which represents a lot of IT industry, release a statement that they have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So at this point, nobody actually knows.
It's all chaos.
It's
all chaos up in the air.
Yeah, where actually the conversation started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, your views on it.
14-hour workday. That means I wake up, I work for 14 hours, I have 10 hours left in the day, maybe I spend 2 hours eating, and then I go to sleep if I have to, do anything else. That essentially means I have no life beyond work, right? Is that what we want for the future?
Yeah, and there's also, apart from that, there's also it calls into question, is number of hours at work equates more work?
I do not agree with that. I think you have to be productive. You can be productive. You can be the smartest worker in your team, hell, even your company, if you know how to if you know how to manage your time, right? Number of hours does not equate to more work or better work, because I'm sure we have all met certain kinds of people during our careers who put in long hours, but that they're not really working hard or working better than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So just because you put the thing like, no, IT employees are supposed to hustle and you're supposed to put in more hours, does not guarantee that companies are going to do better.
Yeah, so that I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think just the fact that this conversation started again, it kind of shows you how much disconnected the government is from this industry.
Yeah.
Or I think it's just like any other job. If there's a creative industry, the government really fails to understand or regulate it in a right way.
Yeah.
They always go for the wrong targets.
Yeah. And I also find it really hard to believe that, companies have been pushing for it, because when you actually go online and you see, most of the younger generation and even like all these startups, they push for the work-life balance that you need, right? Because only if you're fulfilled outside of work, you will be able to bring your best self to work, right? So it just feels like, we are like in opposite directions at this point.
I disagree a little bit. I know that there was, I don't know if you heard, but there were some news with some CEOs openly saying, Ola CEO and Infosys CEO openly saying that they want 60-hour work week, 80-hour work week. And the sad thing is they were trying to play it in a nationalistic sense that it's your duty to the nation. It is nobody's duty to anybody. Right. So that part does make me believe that it can actually come from some companies, at least the, I don't want to take names, but everybody knows the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So those companies, I feel like they do have that working relation with the Karnataka government to push for something like this. And I that's where I disagree. Like
Yeah.
I do think there is a chance this might have been a push from companies, but yeah, of course we can never be sure.
The only reason I think, like the only way, at least I think rules like this make sense, that if you wanna mandate something like a 14-hour workday or something, you need to at least have the concept of things like overtime pay or additional pay, that if I, like, nobody should be stopped. If you want to work more, yes, please work more, but it is also the duty of the government to ensure that the employees are being compensated fairly.
So you're basically talking about not mandating 14 hours but giving a incentivized structure.
Yeah, if you want people to work more, incentivize them, right?
Yeah.
Don't make me work 14 hours on a 8-hour salary.
Yeah, I think the law covered that, but it covered on like just the basic pay. I think an incentivized structure will definitely help.
Yeah.
Make it much better. But I do honestly believe that no one should be working 14 hours a day,
I
right?
agree.
Regardless of overtime pay.
Yeah.
We can debate, like, I think it's just about you're referring to free capitalism, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
But that regulation I think is a separate topic. It'll be too much of a tangent, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but what do you think of these some of the CEOs coming out openly and asking people to work 60 hours, 80 hours? Do you think CEOs should be doing that?
No.
At least not this close to an IPO. I think, like, Ola is going for an IPO.
I mean, if you care about your company, then hello.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I mean, that just boils down to the basic point, right? Like, just because you want people to put in more hours does not guarantee that you're gonna get more work out of them.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I know that I can spend 12 hours at an office and still not get any work done. That is entirely possible. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to, like, it just doesn't guarantee anything that you're going to do better.
I think
you're just going to spoil your people's mental health and probably your company reviews.
And I think once, if you see a CEO so brazenly saying this in public, I think it's a sure shot sign of the rot of work-life balance that exists in the company already, that the CEO feels entitled to say such things, right? So I think that's a very, very red flag to join Ola. Like, I would definitely consider it, like, maybe more than 2 times before I at least think of even joining or applying there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something to keep in mind if you're preparing for interviews. Always look for these kind of signs.
Exactly. So, I mean, it does matter, right? Like, if you want to stay in a company long term, I want to make sure that company is committed to, like, I give them my best work and they are committed to my overall well-being. So, I think that's the deal you eventually want at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, we covered both the topics.
Yeah. Damn, we're getting good at, like, covering topics in a short
I guess it depends on topic to topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really felt that this conversation was needed, at least an acknowledgement from what actual engineers think of it. We are someone who are directly impacted by it.
Yeah.
In both of these. And lately on social media, I feel like this issue just got blown up so much without any rational conversation around it. So hopefully this clears some of the things out there. I guess if needed, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think this chapter has ended. There are more things that are gonna come out of this. So
I know. I mean, if you see, like, how much conversation you can create out of topics like this, I don't know, where does it stop then?
Yeah, I think people just need to realize, like, what to ignore and what to actually pay attention. Like, why are they creating noise here? What is being hidden?
Yeah.
Is the question you need to ask from your government every time, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
That was a nice conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.